Hello and welcome to the Monroe Method Clancast. I'm Jason Monroe. This is episode 120. I'm just looking through my phone. So I have a notepad widget on my phone screen. My home screen on my phone is very well organised. I was told the other day it's all folded and very neat and tidy. At the bottom, I've got a little notepad, and all the way throughout the day, I have little ideas, little thoughts. I say things to clients in their check-ins, and I come straight in here and I write them down, else I'll forget them. And I'm just looking through it thinking, what am I going to talk about today? And I just came across one here. The quality of our lives is largely dependent on our daily habits and behaviour patterns, which I think is a very good place to start. You know, people get, and I've seen this a lot from when I moved into my new house 5 years ago. But people think the quality of their lives are dependent on how much money they have in the bank, the clothes that they wear, the house that they live in, the cars that they drive. They believe that, you're spending your working life working towards better and better. So in 2020, during lockdown, I'll tell you the story. 2020, I was living in a large 3-bedroomed upstairs flat, 4 in a block, with my wife who was pregnant at the time, and my young son, Jacob, who would have been 4 at the time. I had been running Monroe for a couple of years. I was very successful, and we were able to sell that house, make a profit on it, because I'd had it since 2007. That was my flat. So I'd had it for 2007 till 2020, 13 years of paying a mortgage. So we sold that flat, took the money, put it into a deposit, and we bought a nice big 4-bedroomed detached house that was in the process of being built. And there was delays, and finally they said, right, we're ready. Fortunately, the guy moving into our house was still living with his mum, so there was no chain or anything like that. This was a first-time buyer. And we went to move into our house, and lockdown happened. So we were homeless for 6 months. Had to move in with our in-laws and see out the pandemic there until building sites could get back to work. And the house could be completed, and we eventually got the keys on my birthday, the 28th of July. After whenever lockdown started, literally what was meant to happen was we were meant to move into my in-laws' house for a week. They were meant to go to their caravan for a week, just so everybody had some space. We were meant to move into the new house on the Monday. No, on the Friday, lockdown was announced on the Monday. And that was that story. So, the point was, I spent a lot of that time thinking that the quality of my life and the quality of my family's life and the quality of my kids' life was going to be dependent on a bigger house, a nice garden, going on holidays, all that stuff. And now that I've lived in it for 5 years, I realised that shit does not make someone's life. I think a lot about this stuff, seriously think a lot about this stuff. It's on my mind a lot. When I'm driving around, I look at people standing at bus stops and I think what that must be like. What must it be like not to have a car? What must it be like to not be able to afford to run a car? And then I see many parents at the school from all different walks of life. I see many of them walking home to their houses. The school is in a bit of a, in the middle area. There's a kind of bit with more expensive houses. There's a bit with council houses, a bit of an area that's a bit rough, I would describe it. And yet all these people come and they all come to the same school with the kids, but we all have such different lives. Some people work, some people don't. Some people are stay-at-home parents. Some people are employed. Some people drive to school in a big Porsche and have their own businesses and live in massive houses. Everybody's different. And the thing that I think about a lot, not that stuff, like that's irrelevant, right? Everybody's different. The part that I think about a lot is, are they happy? Is the guy driving his Porsche and living in the big house happy? Are the people who don't have a car and have to walk the commute happy? There's a woman I pass every morning who's got nothing to do with the school. When I drive to school with the boys, I always see this woman she's on a bike, and that bike has a trailer, and that trailer has her 2 kids in it. You know, one of those cycle trailers that you get? And like, that's not, like, you see a lot of people doing that as a weekend hobby. That's her mode of transport. She takes her kids. One looks old enough for primary school, one looks young enough for nursery. And she does that every day. Wind, rain, hail, she's always there on the road, always cycling, no matter what. That's her mode of transport. And my God, the junction I see her coming out of all the time after cycling up a massive hill, she must be so incredibly fit. But then I look at people like her doing things like that, which is unusual for me to see. Like, the reason I remember that so vividly is that, like, I don't see that. Maybe there are places in the world, maybe you live somewhere where that's super common and you see it quite a lot. But for me, like, she's the only person in this area that does that. So it's very memorable and very thought-provoking. And I think about this stuff a lot. And it just comes back to that question. Sure, she's got it hard. She has to drag her kids around everywhere, literally, behind her. But is she happy? And happiness does not come down to whether you have a car or not, or you have to walk in the rain, or you have to cycle, or how big your house is, or how nice your car is, or how much money in your bank. Your quality of life is dependent on how you feel when you wake up in the morning. I work with all different types of people. All different types of people. From all walks of life. And when they come to work with me, most of them are waking up feeling like crap in the morning. Doesn't matter how comfy your bed is, how big your bedroom is, how warm your bedroom is with your central heating on, none of that stuff matters. Because you're sitting up until midnight, snacking. And you're waking up in the morning feeling tired, bloated, sluggish, lethargic. If the traffic's a bit noisier today and you hear this beep, I'll explain it in a second. Once I cross the road. Come on. There we go. Okay. I could have stopped the recording, but it was too busy. So I'll tell you quickly, right? I've started walking a different route. Ready, go. I've started walking a different route because if you watched my Instagram this time last year, you'll remember that I was walking around the streets in the dark in the morning with little credit card sized cards, beeping them on lampposts and signposts and things. So there's this initiative in our area called Beat the Street. And it's to get kids walking and cycling and scooting at the weekends. And they have like these. I've got 4 cards, one for each member of the family. And there's like 5 or 6 of them on my walking route in the morning with the dogs. So I take them and beep them. It gets points for the school. And the school last year won, I don't know, so many £100 worth of books because we were in the lead. And because of my beeping, I got Jacob and Kerr into the top 10. And they got their photos taken outside the school. So that's why I'm taking a slightly different route in the mornings and why that road was so busy. To beat the street. Okay, so they are waking up in the morning filled with dread and inner turmoil because they're thinking about how much they ate last night. And they can feel it, like it's difficult to open their eyes, they're hitting the snooze button multiple times, they're struggling to get out of bed. Everything feels slow and sluggish and yucky and crap. And a lot of you will think, oh, that's just to do with my weight, that's just to do with my fitness levels, that's because I don't exercise. And yes, a part of it will be, but that feeling that you have down in your stomach, that sicky feeling, that I can really feel that I ate too much last night. That's where that comes from. It's from your eating habits. And this is why we say that, or why I'm saying, that your quality of life is largely dependent on your habits and your behaviours. The things that you wake up every day, eat, drink, think, do. Do you know, so many people wake up in the morning and they go from bed to car to work, car to desk back to car to home, back to the couch to bed, and then they start the thing all again in the morning. And in between all that, this person eats, this person drinks. Maybe they have breakfast, maybe they have biscuits at their desk with their multiple coffees and teas in the morning, then they have lunch. Then they have something from the vending machine in the afternoon, crisps in a chocolate bar and a can of full sugar Coke. Then they drive home, and while they're prepping dinner, they're so hungry that they're eating while prepping dinner. Then they still eat dinner. Then they feel like they need something sweet after, so there's something later on. Then they also feel like they need to eat something when they're watching the TV. And so the cycle continues. Like that, what I've just described there, does that sound like a great life? Does it sound fantastic? Going from your bed to a car, your car to a desk, your desk back to the car to the couch to bed. Does that sound amazing? No, it doesn't, does it? And yet, this is how most people, because we know statistically how sedentary people are, how few people go for walks, how few people intentionally exercise, to say that this is how most people operate. You know, so many of my clients will say, I'm a busy parent. And they make a mistake with that. Because they think that being a busy parent must make you super active. And it really doesn't. I've seen it across the board over the years with thousands of clients. Like, I'm a busy mum of 3. Awesome. Let's take a look at your steps. Okay, you're doing 3,000 steps a day. And the thing is, we mistake mental busyness with physical busyness. Because you're not taking your kid out running with you. You're not running marathons with them. You don't take them to the gym. You're a busy parent in the sense that you have to iron clothes and make sure they're dressed and make sure their teeth are brushed and make sure you sit in a car and drive them to somewhere. And even when you come home, you're standing in a kitchen making dinner. Like, you were doing it for yourself anyway, you're just doing it for more people now. Being a busy parent, I'm a busy parent. I've got 2 kids, I've got 2 dogs, I'm walking 2 dogs right now. I do all the school runs, I do all the weekday childcare solo stuff. My wife leaves the house in the morning, comes back at dinner time. I've got dinner on the table. Like, all of that stuff makes me busy, doesn't make me active, doesn't mean that I'm burning thousands of calories. It just means I have a busy life. And I think a lot of people mistake children for being like, no, that's not the right thing to say. I was going to say people mistake children for being calorie burners. I didn't mean it like that. I meant people mistake parenthood as being like part of an active lifestyle, and it really isn't. Not unless you take your kids for walks a lot, or they're old enough to come running with you. Like, you do not burn a massive amount of calories at home doing chores, a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of ironing, folding up, washing. However, let's not devalue the fact that it still makes you busy, mentally busy, because your brain never gets to stop. This has got to be done, that's got to be done, and he's got a party on Saturday, and I'll need to get that card, and I'll need to get them a voucher, and we need to be here for this time and that time, and the kids have got dancing, and he's got football training, and he's got a game this weekend. So, Christ, how did I get to that? Many people mistake parenthood for being busy, and they mistake that as having an active lifestyle. Like, just because you're up and out the house a lot and going to lots of different places, like, you're busy, but you're not massively active. And I think people get into their heads that they need to eat more, or that they're burning lots of calories, or like, oh, I shouldn't be gaining weight. Eating this is fine because, you know, I'm out and about quite a lot. And it's obviously not the case, because you're gaining weight, right? Most of you listening to this, like, people don't just come here and listen to this podcast because they don't have weight to lose, or they're not trying to maintain their weight. So this stuff is helpful. So bringing it back, your quality of life. There are millionaires, there are people with, do you know what? There are people that I know who do things completely differently to what I do. They only work with private clients. Maybe they only work with high-flying business executives and celebrities and athletes. And those athletes are paying them $5,000 a month for their nutritional help, and they're making 20, 30, 40k a month. And they're miserable. They are absolutely miserable. They're burnt out. They're fed up of doing what they do. Money does not make them happy. It doesn't matter how big their house is, how flashy their car is. They're miserable in their relationship. They're miserable in their life. They procrastinate all day because they don't really want to sit down and do the work. Now, you know, you would sit there and go, yeah, but he's got 30 grand a month coming in. And? Sounds great to you because you don't have that coming in. But wait till you've done it for 12 months and your relationship's an unhappy one. And your big massive house is not bringing you the joy that you thought it was, and your flashy car is not as fun as it was the first time you pressed the accelerator pedal when you hopped in it. The quality of your life is largely dependent on the things that you wake up each day and think and feel and do and eat and drink. If you wake up every day thinking, oh my God, I'm so overweight, well, I need to do something about this, and you immediately go to the kitchen cupboard and start eating chocolate mini rolls instead of a balanced breakfast, like, that one thing does not define your quality of life. But take 20 or 30 occasions like that throughout the day, every single day. Now it is having an impact on you. People don't get to live their fullest lives because of their weight. That's not true. It's a good start point though, but we'll start there. People don't get to live their fullest lives because of their weight. However, it's not really because of their weight, is it? It's because of the things that they do to take their weight to a place they don't want it to be. Your weight, I know I'm a broken record with this stuff, but I've realised now that you don't just say something once and expect people to get it. You say it multiple times from multiple angles in multiple scenarios. Your weight is not the problem. Your weight did not just happen to you. It didn't come from nowhere. You didn't just wake up one day and you were 18 stone or 15 stone or whatever you are. It happened as a result of the way that you showed up in the world on a daily basis. It happened as a result of the way that you chose to take care of yourself. You woke up in the morning and instead of getting a big bowl of bran flakes and banana with some chia seeds sprinkled on top, you started eating chocolate. Instead of preparing your lunch for work and taking something balanced and filling that would see you through to dinner time, you keep going to Greg's or McDonald's because that's what everybody in the office does. Instead of planning and organising your weekends, getting out in the fresh air and sunshine and doing activities, you drank 2 bottles of wine and absolutely wasted your Sunday in front of the couch. Now, it's not to say that you can't do these things, but remember, we're not talking about individual things that you do. We're talking about your habits, the way that you show up in the world on a daily basis. I said this to someone the other day. In fact, I said it to multiple people this week at their check-ins, trying to explain to them that the things that they're doing aren't bad, because it's the way that they describe them. Like, oh, I done so well, but then I had a takeaway. It's like, yeah, but why is a takeaway not you doing well? What's the thought process behind that? And then we'll talk about it. And they're like, oh yeah, but I'm trying not to have takeaways because, you know, when I did my food attachment things, I realised takeaways were a problem. And it's like, no, takeaways are not a problem. Your approach to takeaways was a problem. You were eating them 5 times a week. That was the problem. Eating takeaways isn't a problem. Just to completely devalue takeaways, what are they? It's your dinner, cooked by someone else, somewhere else, and delivered to your door. That's it. The only difference between what you make in the house and a takeaway is that you didn't cook it. Yes, it's higher in calories. Yes, it tastes much better than most things you're able to prepare, but that's why it's higher in calories. If you piled a load of fat, salt and sugar into every meal that you've made, it would taste just as good. But ultimately, what is a takeaway? Dinner that you did not cook. That's it. All a takeaway is. The same meal that you've eaten every night since you were old enough to eat solids. And on this occasion, you decided that you didn't want to make it. You wanted to order it and get it from somewhere else. That's it. We build too much excitement around them. We build them up to be something that they aren't. That's why we turn into weirdos when we have takeaways and we think, I need to eat all of this. I need to order so much stuff because I don't know when I'll get to have one of these again. So anyway, back to this person. You know, the takeaways weren't the problem. Her takeaway habits were the problem. I have a takeaway habit. My takeaway habit is that once the meals for the week run out, I will get a takeaway on a Friday or a Saturday with my family. That's my takeaway habit. And I will approach it the same way I do any other meal. I will eat until I am satisfied. I'll stop eating when I start to feel full. I do not turn every meal into 3 courses. I don't order multiple sides. I will order whatever it is. In fact, there's a place, I'll tell you what I'm having this weekend. There's a place called Bonnie Chicken in Bonnybridge, and they do this box that I share with my son. It's like a pizza box thing, and you get 2 burgers in it, some chips, and they do this thing called stir-fried doner meat, which is fantastic. And I will share it with them. I will eat my burger. I won't eat any chips because I view chips as a waste of space in your stomach. That's just the way I think. And I will instead focus on the doner meat and salad stuff. And once I'm full, guess what? I will stop eating and it will go in the bin, because what do? You can't eat it for breakfast. And if I did, that would be me going back to 14.5 stone me. The things that I did to become overweight all those years ago. Saving Chinese food in the microwave and waking up in the morning and having it for breakfast. That was part of my 14.5 stone lifestyle. So this person was trying to not have any takeaways, even though I don't encourage that at all, ever. How are you meant to learn how to incorporate something in your diet if you don't incorporate the thing in your diet? So I explained to them, no, your problem was that you were eating takeaways 3 to 5 times per week. And you were getting overly excited about it. You were ordering multiple things. You were overeating every takeaway. You were saving it to have for leftovers for lunch the next day. Like, your diet was dominated by takeaway food, Chinese, Indian, Domino's pizza. I used to work with a guy in my old job. Every single night of the week, you would hear him on the phone to his wife, Lynn. What are we getting tonight, Lynn? Domino's. Right. Next again day, he would come in with 2 or 3 slices of Domino's pizza for his lunch. And that's why he was a large man, or part of the reason why he was a large man. So remember, habits are not just going from doing something to not doing something. I think people struggle with this. They get into their head that, you know, I need to go from getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning after hitting the snooze button 6 times to getting up at 5 a.m. I need to go from being someone who does absolutely no exercise whatsoever to going to the gym 5 times a week. They create these ridiculous, like, doing, not doing scenarios. When it's like, well, what about you just try to get up at 8 a.m? What about, instead of trying to do nothing to going to the gym 5 times a week, you just started doing something like Couch to 5K and gradually built up to it? You know, instead of going from eating 5 takeaways a week to trying to not have any, which is ridiculous, you picked one night of the week where you could really look forward to it. And you do it in a positive way, not a reactive way. Remember, if you remember any episodes I've spoken about before, the biggest problem with takeaways is nothing to do with the takeaway, everything to do with the way you're approaching it. Remember, negative takeaways. I can't be bothered cooking. I've had a hard day. I need something to cheer me up. Using these things for negative reasons means that you won't enjoy it. Negative takeaway, walking through the door, looking at your husband and saying, I cannot be arsed cooking. Chinese? Yeah, okay. You've ordered a meal that you should get to enjoy, but you've done it for a negative reason because you know you had a meal planned, you know you've got the food in the fridge, and you've ordered this thing anyway, and you will not enjoy it. And because you feel uncomfortable when you're eating it, you will overeat it, you'll try to get your money's worth, you'll convince yourself of all these things, and then afterwards you'll feel like absolute crap. Because you had a takeaway for negative reasons. Instead of a positive takeaway, like I just described. On Saturday, I am getting this thing from this place, and I get to look forward to it all week. And when I have the thing, I get to enjoy it when I'm eating it, and that's it. I get on with my life. It was just dinner, just not cooked by me. So it's not just the habits, it's the scale of our habits. Remember, changing habits does not mean stopping and starting something or starting and stopping something. More often than not, it just means scaling some habits down and scaling some habits up. Yes, you eat an apple a day, but you need to be eating much more fruit and veg than that. So let's scale that up. And while we're doing that, let's stop getting takeaways 5 times a week. Let's scale that down. Because one will affect the other. Once you start cooking more meals, you'll be able to start creating meals with more vegetables in them. Your body will actually be starting to get what it needs. You'll start to feel better. You'll feel fuller. You'll feel more energized. You won't be waking up in the morning feeling like absolute crap from all the overeating that you did. And that's one way of how your habits start to positively influence you. So let's wrap it up, because I'm walking up the hill now and I'm out of breath this morning. I need to get to the chiropractor. After a little while of sitting hunched over a desk for weeks and months at a time, my back starts to kind of roll forward. Things move out of place and I lose lung capacity. And I go to the chiropractor, he tries to pull my shoulders back and he goes, oh, yep. And then does this thing and goes pop, pop, pop. And all of a sudden I can take massive deep breaths again, and it's the best thing in the world. Anyway, so does not matter how much money you have in the bank, how great your social life is, how big your house is, how fancy your car is. These things are nice to have, nice to think about, nice to look at, nice to be in, nice to live in, nice to drive. It's nice to not have to worry about money as much as you might have before. But are you happy? Are you healthy? Are you fit? Can you walk up a hill without getting out of breath? Can you play with your kids? Are your thoughts dominated by your weight all day? Do you think about how bad you feel about the foods that you're eating? Are you aware that you are sitting there doing something that is making you feel like shit, and yet you still want to do it anyway? You know, quality of life is not just one thing. It is many, many things across the board. You know, when I spoke about health before, how, you know, health is not just the food you eat and the exercise that you do and how healthy your body is. Health is multifaceted. It's your mental health, your emotional health, your social health, your financial health. All of these different cups that need to be filled. Some people go too hard filling one cup and they neglect the rest. So yeah, if you've got the house and the car and you're financially stable and all that stuff, awesome. You're 10% of the way there. What about everything else? What about the things that are going on inside your head? What about the things that are going on inside your body? What about the stuff that you're putting into your body? Is it helpful? Is it balanced? Is it healthy? Or is it alcohol? Is it takeaways? Is it processed foods? Is it mostly chocolate, crisps, snacks? And then how does that then make you feel when you think about it? It makes you feel like shit knowing that you're doing that to your body, but it doesn't stop you from doing it because you're stuck in a rut with it all. And all of that comes down to your thoughts, being trapped in your own head, not being able to have a conversation in your own head. We can't do it. We're biased towards the negative. This is why people get coaches. It's why people have nutritionists and therapists and counsellors. Because talking about stuff with someone else who is not in your head, who can offer a different perspective and help you see things differently, is worth its weight in gold. I know, because I do it for a living. I did it yesterday. Someone didn't check in for a few weeks because they had a holiday. And then something popped up. They had a weekend away, followed by a holiday, and then struggled to get back into it. And what they tried to do is what most people try to do, and do it by themselves. I say this to my clients all the time. If you're listening to this right now and you're avoiding a check-in, listen to this. Imagine paying someone for their help and then avoiding that person when you need help the most. I am not just here to look at screenshots. I'm not just here for you to share things with me when your weight's coming down. That's when you need me the least. When things are going great, that's when I do a 3-minute check-in that basically runs through, makes sure everything's fine, and tells you how great a job you're doing. Those don't help you. Nice to get a pat in the back from a professional and from a coach and from someone you look up to, and it makes you feel good for a little while. But, I wouldn't have much job satisfaction if all I did all day was go, yep, well done, well done, keep going, great job, keep going. Fuck me, that would be brain damage. I need problems, I need challenges, I need people to help fix things. Creative problem solving to do. So don't pay for someone's help and then avoid them when you need it the most. Your coach doesn't just want to hear from you when everything's all sunshine and rainbows. They want to hear from you the most when things are not going great. And this is what happened this week. The person didn't check in for 4 weeks. Part of that was because they were away for 10 days. But the other part of that was they were trying to do it on their own. And they couldn't. If you keep starting the day with the best intentions and it goes tits up by the end of the day and you can't get out of that, then you need help. People will live like that for months on end, waiting for... I recorded an Instagram reel about this. I recorded 5 Instagram reels yesterday, scheduled them for every Tuesday. I'm going to do the same today. It's Wednesday the 26th of February. I'm going to do the same today. I'm going to record 5 different types of reels and schedule them for every Wednesday. Thursday the same, Friday the same. And that way my content creation thing becomes much easier for a month. But anyway, the point was... What was the point? I recorded a reel that said... fuck, I can't remember. That's annoying. Wait, it'll come back to me. I will, but I can't make you wait for it to come back to me. Do you know, I hate it, but I do this sometimes on check-ins, where it's like, do you know what's annoying about check-ins? The software that I record them in, I think it would be brilliant if I could pause that software and just slide the thing back a bit to remind myself of what I was talking about before I went on my little segue, so that I could come back to the topic. I can't do it here. Never mind, we'll wrap it up anyway. So, your quality of life is not just the life that you're able to give your kids, the holidays you're able to take them on, the car, the house, the money, all that stuff, the social circle, the friendship group. That's only a very small, superficial part of what a good life is. Are you happy? Are you healthy? Are you fit? Do you have a positive relationship with food? Can you wake up today? Can you sit here right now and think excitedly about the way that you're going to take care of your body today? Are you looking forward to eating later on? Or do you dread what might happen because you know that 2 o'clock in the afternoon is your danger time and you're going to need to avoid the biscuit tin? That's affecting your quality of life. You know, if that's a daily thing that you have to put yourself through, and the thing is, it becomes the norm. You get so used to it. It just becomes a part of your day. Yeah, that's what it's like every day. Every day at 2 o'clock, I go through that same fight with myself where I have to try and not eat biscuits. We don't want that. So, enough from me. I think this should have been quite a thought-provoking one today, if a little scattered. I'll see what I can do in the edit when I clean it up a bit and tighten it up. But yeah, until next time.